In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create a cumulative sum, but also a total sum here, as you can see, where the value of 18 is being shown here, and then here instead of number 3, as you can see on the tooltip, it will show here 21, which is the cumulative sum here. And then here is 21 plus 6 equals 27, and you can see here 27 of 27, and the same story here, 25 of 25, where you see here the total value, but here you see the cumulative sum of it. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the viewers' questions, which is how to do a cumulative sum, or how to cumulative sum data point values from a stack bar chart in chart.js. And this question came from one of my other videos about how to show values inside a stack bar chart. And then if we scroll down here, you can see this question came from Pramod Konda. A special thank you to Pramod for asking the question. And this is what Pramod asked. Thanks for making and sharing the video, very useful for me. But the bar height is taking sum of both data point values, both data set values. It should take actual data set values and render up to that height with the same data label within. Please, can you show how to make it? So let me explain this, because basically here it shows these values here, and what we eventually want to do here is to sum the values in here. Alright, or to cumulative sum. So we're going to show the incremental increase plus the total value of that. So let's start to work with this. The first thing what we need to do is, of course, get our default code here. So go to chartjs3.com, getting started, and you might notice this here. Do not worry about that. For some reason Google Chrome here on my laptop just doesn't want to show this. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this chunk of code here. Once you copy this, and if you want to understand the code, watch this video here. Paste this in here, and once we paste it in here, I'm going to just move this title in here. Save that, and there we are. So now we have this, and what I want to do next is eventually get the, what we need here is of course the data labels. So we need to work with the data label plugin. So I'm going to add this as well. So for the data labels, we're going to get the CDN. So the CDN is here, cdnjs.com, chartjs-plugin-datalabels. This is the plugin, and right now we're using version 2.0.0, which is great because they have updated it, because I know last time it was somewhere this. So let's select the script tag here. We're going to copy this. And then what we're going down is here, just below the JavaScript library, or the chartjs library, we're going to paste in this chunk of code. This code here, this is very important. This is direct connected with this, or this is dependent on whatever is loaded here. So this needs to load first. So if I save this, of course nothing happens yet. So what I want to do is two things. Number one, I want to have a data set. So we have multiple data sets, and we need to convert it into a stack bar chart. And then afterwards, once we did that, we need to have the activation or the registration of this specific plugin. So what I'm going to do here, let's copy this and add up some new values in here. Comma, paste, comma, paste. So I have like some random values, and let's grab a color here. Alright, so once we did this, I'm going to copy this. I'll just put it in here. I'll just give it some different colors here so to make sure that we can see the differences. Then we have here, I guess this is the yellow cell. I guess this is the yellow line. Here I'm going to use the black line. And the black line will basically be based on the border here. Alright, and then here this one here, I just cut this out, paste this in here, comma here, comma there. So once we did that last one here, the red value, that's this one here, I'm going to copy this, put this there. And final one here, this one, paste this, 0.2. And then if we save this now, we should have now these values. So that looks very nice. So this is the black cells, and I guess this is the red cells. So for this, we're going to change some color for the numbers. With this, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have these. Again, 7, save that. There you are, different. Let's convert this into a stack bar chart. So to do this, we need to make sure that this, we say here, on the X scale, comma, we say here, stack equals true. And once we did that, here as well, stacked for the y scale equals true, comma. Save this, refresh. There we are. So now we have this stacked. This one is quite tiny, but that's alright for now. So then what we're going to do is the following. I'm going to put in the plugin. We're going to activate the plugin now. So in the options here, after the options we do comma, we say plugins, and then we say here chart with capital C, labels, without the S, data labels, that's the right term. Make sure capital C, capital D, and capital L, and label with S. So that's very important. Once we save this, we should see now an activation of the value here. Beautiful. So this works. I'm just going to reduce this one just so this will be a bit more visible. Let's reduce here the value. This will be a number 6. Alright, so that is slightly better. Alright, so now we have this here. What we need to do here very specifically is work with the data label plugin, and we're going to use the data labels object. So in the options here, so we had these plugins here. So this is to register the item. Now what I'm going to do here, after the scales, I put a comma. So we're still within the options bracket or curly braces. In here, we're going to say plugins. And then here, curly braces. And then we say here, data labels. So this is now an object because we have this one loaded here. We register the chart data labels plugin, and now this data labels object is being recognized, and this is a specific command, and it will activate whatever we want to do here. For this, what we're going to use here is the formatter, and the formatter consists of 2 values. We have here the value and the context, and this is what we call a callback. So when we have a callback, we're going to put an arrow expression, arrow expression function, sorry. And then what we want to do here is curly braces, and then within here, basically this here says function. If we would do here function, it's exactly the same as you can see. The only thing difference now is that this is a shorthand version or a shorter version, which is more professional these days. ES6 in short. Alright, so what I want to do here, I want to make sure you understand what these are. Because here we have this here, the value, and then we also have here another one with the context. So let's console log those, and I'm using formatter. So what does formatter allow us to do? Formatter allows us to change the values here, or at least we can put in here something else. Instead of these numbers, we might want to put in text or something else. So now we can control that. So if I save this now and refresh, you will see now, we'll open up developer tab. We have here the formatter. Alright, but let me refresh one more time. You can see here we get all of this information. We get the value, which is number 18, and then we also get a lot of extra information here. Active, false, the chart, etc, etc. You can see the data index or data index 0. And this is the data set index, which is correct because we are here now. Number 18. If we're going to look for this number 3 here, then we have to look here somewhere midway, or I guess here somewhere. This should be it. Data index 2. I'm not sure where exactly it's referring to, probably to this one, because basically it loops through it, but how it loops, slightly different. 12 is definitely not, that would be this one. 6, 9, there you are, you can see here. So after this 9, we get number 3. And that's this number 3 here. So if I open up this, you will see here now that this is data set 1, and data index 0. Why 0? It's still in the other index, the other data set, but this is the starting point of that index, or of that array, sorry. So that array, so this is index 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But of course, data set number 1. This is data set 0, data set 2. That's all we're going to erase. Alright, so once we have this, we're going to focus on customizing this. So how do we customize this here? Because we have this here, all we can do here is just say return. If we return here, and here we can just put in anything we want. Let's say we're going to put in value, do plus, concatenate, space, in USD, for example. If I save this now, refresh, you can see here now we get this. So we are starting to be able to control the text here or whatever we want here. But now let's work on breaking down how can we get the total sum and how can we get the cumulative sum. So to do this, we're going to go in here, and then in here we're going to say here constant, and this constant will be our sum value. This is equal. Then here what we're going to do is basically a map, or array map function. So what we really want to do here is we have this, but we need to create these arrays here. We need to create a new array which can recognize that this, and this is together as in one single set. So to do this, I'm going to use here the context. So in context, well, we can even, I will just show you first before I even do this. We can just comment out this, and here in the context, we're going to go to chart. So if I save this now, refresh, we get a lot of information here. But what we really need is here in the chart. So now we are in the context chart, and then what we need to look for is the configuration, and then we go here into the data. As you can see here, we click on this, and in the data we have the data set, and you can see here now we get certain values. And what we really want is the following. We want to grab here the matching items so that all are matching here. So how do we do this? Is basically we loop through these three, and then we say we want to go into the data here and get only the first one, and then the next one we loop again, and then only the first one, and here would be the next one would be only the index number 1 value. So to do this, how can we do this? Well, very important information here is, let me show you as well. Let's do a console log here. To the context, refresh, and here if you open up this, you can see here we get data index 0 and data set 0. So we get this information already, or the positioning of it. So all what we have to do now is to combine them correctly and then extract only the matching ones out here. So this will be 0, 0. This should be data set 1 but index 0. And here again, data set 1, index 0. This one is data set 0, index 1, this and this, and etc. etc. So let me just show you this. So we have this active false. Alright, so we can just grab this one, data item here, dot data index, and then we have another one here that is data set. So if I save this now, refresh, you can see here now it starts with 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, and then 3, 0. I guess it probably matches here with certain values. So it does understand certain things. However, it will loop through these from left to right, which makes sense because it's an array. But what we want to do here then is then 0, 0, then 1, 0, 2, 0. And then here exactly the same, but then incremental. So to do this, we need to go as what I indicated previously in the following location. So let's do a console log so you can see it. Go here first to context and then chart. So if I save that again, refresh, let's comment out the others. And click on one, and then where we have to go? Well, we have to go to config, and then from config we go to data, and then from data we go to the data sets, and then from data sets it will be here depending on the array, and then within this. So what we need here is the following, which is the dot that one, but that's here, dot config dot data, and then dot data sets, and then I do dot map. And the reason why I do map is because we have 3 items here. So we want to loop through them, but map will automatically loop through them, and then we just grab the specific location here afterwards. So we have this map, and this map is a very, very powerful tool. So we're going to say here, I guess what we can do here is the following. I can just remove this one for now, just remove the console log, we don't need that. Then in here, I have a double parentheses. Then we say here, the data point. And the data point is basically here, we are still in data sets, or maybe not even data point, it should be called data set. Alright, so that would mean here, we just in this array, we are here the data set. And then we have to indicate, but it will understand, we have 3 data sets here, 0, 1, and 2. It will look through all of these. But then we want to go in here, and then we say data, and then we say here the specific item. So what we're going to do here is, we're going to do this, make a function out of it, and then we say here, we want to return what exactly. We want to grab here the data set dot data, which is this one here, data, and then here whatever would be the index value. And the index value is of course this one here. copy this, put it in there, semicolon. So once we do this, we then have our item. And then what we need to do here, this is very important because this will not work because we are forgetting a constant here. The constant, and let's call this a sum value. So sum value, all right. So once we have this, we can just put in here this value and let's see what's happening now. We're then not done yet, but we should have a certain item already in here. As you can see here now, we have a nice array with these 3 in here. But of course, this is not really what we want because it shows us the array in every single item. I don't want that. We only need to have one item in here. So how can we do that now? Because since we have this now, I can just delete all of this excess here. Since we have this, we can now start to work with the more important item, which is starting to do the cumulative sum. So we're going to say here constant, and then we say here, cumulative sum equals. So here we're basically going to loop through this, and then we're going to count it together. And basically we use here as well the map, the array.map functionality. So we're going to say here the following. Now pay attention here. This can be a bit tricky. Even for me, it's a slightly tricky one. So we say here sum, so which would mean the value that we get here. From this array here, we will have the sum, and then we say this sum, which would be the plus plus plus, is equal to value, meaning the following. All right. So once we have this, so this is just still the same value. These will be eventually converted to this. Yes, this would mean the following: sum plus equal value. And then here we can say starting value in parentheses is 0. So what we really do here is the following. So if, let's grab one, this 18, 3, and 6. So if the array would be 18, well, let's make this like an array 18, 3, and 6. What will happen is it starts at 0. And then it will count. It will say it will grab the value. The next value is this. And then it will plus it. But what we do is basically we create a sum out of it. So it will be 18 first, the next one will be 18 plus 3 is 21, and then the next one will be 29. So that's basically what happens then, because it recognizes that the sum will be the value itself. Instead of only this item, it will say 18 plus etc, etc. So it just sums it up, or cumulative sum. So once we do this, what we of course have to do here is the following. Then we say here the cumulative sum array is this one. And then we say here sum value, which is this, because this is basically the array we built here. This is equal to that, depending on our loop. Sum value, and then what we're going to say here dot map. So we're going to loop through all these 3 items. Then we grab the cumulative sum here. And then of course here we want to do the following, which is the context dot data set index. And the reason we do that is it should match with the right data set here, so we calculate that correctly and we'll understand which one is matched together. So if I have this one now, we have here the next item. So let's grab this here and then just check what we get. If we save this now, refresh, as you can see now it starts to increase 18, 21, and 27. But you can see the value equals 6. Value here equals 3, and value here equals 18, which is all correct. So now we have this. Now what I want to do is here, I will say this off, and then here the total value of 27. So what I need to do here is the following. So we're going to say here constant, and this will be just the total sum. And the total sum is the sum value dot reduce. So we're going to reduce it together, put it all in one. Then we say total and value. Now we say here, we're going to look through this and we say total plus equal value, which is of course still the array. We remember the 18, 3, and 6 that was in here. Basically we go in this and then we just reduce it into one single value. We plus it into one single value, so it will be automatic. We could also get the very last value here, but this is probably the best. If you would have multiples, it would be automatically calculated for us. So once we have this here, enter, and then we say here return total. And once we do this, let's see here, we have that one. We're going to say here comma 0 to make sure that this is always a default of 0. Then here we can do the following. So once we have this, copy that, save that, refresh. You can see here now we get the 27. Beautiful. So I don't want this, but I want to do the following. I'm going to use the object literals, template literals. And template literals means easier way to concatenate. But you use backticks. Backticks are on your keyboard below the escape button. So we say here $, because this is a variable. And this is just an easier way to concatenate. So we say here of, and we can say here of total sum. Do this, save that, refresh, and there we are. So now we get 18 of 27, 21 of 27, and etc, etc. So it grabs here and it increments as well nicely. So this is basically how to work with that. So if you like this video, and maybe you want to go even more deeper with different items, I personally would recommend you to check out the chart.js plugin data label series that I have. It's basically multiple videos, up to 18 videos here, covering everything about the data labels plugin that you might want to know.